There's this damn quote unquote build that everybody keeps asking me about. Alright, I'm only gonna post this once, alright? Because I'm tired of getting spam. Alright, from you guys. Ask me what this damn Nightblade is like, okay, and what to put on there. Alright, here you go, here you go. Alright. No more asking me what to do. I know how to do it, okay? Here, I'll just go over. We'll go over traits first, alright? One-handers, decisive. Best ult gen or not tank class overall in the game. You're a Nord, you get 5 ulti every 10 seconds when you're taking damage. You get your 20 from your pots. You get decisive, you get minor heroism, you get major heroism. You get your major from your champion points, which I'm gonna show in a second. I'll just do it right now. Right here. Don't ask me why you do it because I'm gonna tell you in a second. Okay. Alright. Yep, decisive best trait. You can probably put, let me see, there's a powered. You don't want infused. No point in trying to sacrifice a trait to push a small number when you can use it on a bigger number. You get more numbers out of bigger numbers when you got a small numbers. Common sense, you know. You could do charged. I do that sometimes. If I want to rock a bow on my back bar or rush show, then put a shock enchant. Sometimes I do it for fast hard mode whenever I tank. My Nightblade. Yeah. You can do weakening, you need shock, I mean whatever you need. The majority probably want weakening. It's better for the group and you. Your shields. I have one in every trait, except for, you know, invigorating, the most useless trait. I don't know why he's still in the game. I mainly just use sturdy because I don't want to look for gear and replace it. You could do a health enchant. I don't like doing it because it dips my health when I swap back. And whenever you swap back, sometimes it causes desyncs whenever you put major like dips in resources from non-combat, you know, aspects of the game. So if you PvP, you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes whenever you swap bars and you have health on your front bar and your health drops a lot and you get hit by something big, sometimes it'll desync you and then you're fucked. Happens a lot to me. So I like try. I mean, you get more stamina health or mag. It's better overall, to be honest, and your health doesn't dip. You know what your health is gonna be consistently. I mean, it doesn't change your health, maybe like 2 or 3%. You know what I mean? Well, not 2 or 3, but like 200 or 300, 400, 500. Obviously, back bar. You know, lightning, bows. I rock bows sometimes. You could do a rush throw. Obviously infused crusher or weakening. Nothing really else. Don't put charge, it'd be pretty dumb. If you do that, make one of your healers do it, or one of your off tank / DPS if that's what you do. So that's what I do sometimes, but I'm still really confused. But even then, I mean I'm in DPS gear with inner fire. So basically the only sets you're ever going to be really using: Stonekeeper, Vicos, Thorvican, Engine Guardian, Symphony. I don't ever use Engine Guardian. Only time I use it is for fast hard mode. Don't even need it majority time. I've literally done it with no monster sub. It's pretty good. I mean, if you're into it, you can. I mean, you can use other sets too. I mean, there's other beneficial sets, but they're on other tunes, and I don't really care for swapping. I use Stonekeeper majority of the time when it comes to boss fights, so I don't really have to think about anything, really. I could just focus on my uptimes. I mean, should be your main priority, guys, your uptimes. Not worrying about how beefy you are. Not into that selfish mentality, I don't know. Vicosa, heavy hitters, like Last Boss, VSS, Navi, hard mode, for his breaths. Especially whenever you get marked. I mean, you could use it for V-Huff Last Boss whenever you guys are all stacked. New trial coming out in Greymore. Last Boss, hard mode. Even then, you'd probably still want Symphony because you're most likely going to be guarded. Thorvican for trash. It's pretty OP. I mean, it's not gonna change next patch, except for I believe the downtime is going to be higher, so it's going to be up for less, and it's going to take longer to reapply, which, I mean, it doesn't really matter. Generally, when everything's stacked, it's going to be applied, and everything should be dead by then, or things are moving. Symphony, another major set. Next patch, you're not going to have to really worry about it. Yeah, I mean, next patch you're only gonna have one person in it, because currently only one person can activate this at a time. Or I think, yeah, so currently only one person can activate this at a time. Next patch, multiple. Everybody's gonna have their individual cooldowns, so only one person's gonna rock Symphony. Don't need multiple people. Everybody's gonna have their own cooldowns, as I just said. So yeah, right now you could use it next patch if nobody else, none of the healers use it. You could use any other healing, you know, group sets as well. As well as you want infuse. This kind of triggers me watching my boss set, basically sturdy, and then my shoulders infused. It kind of triggers me, but okay. Main body. I mean, there's only realistically, you're only going to be using Yo and Eben. I mean, you could use other sets as well, but I mean, there are other sets, but I'm not talking about like weapons. Yeah, so you could run Torox, but I mean, it's to the point where you don't even need Torox anymore. It's pretty useless, in my opinion. Well, it's not useless, but it's out of date. I mean, there's better things. You'd rather have Eben and Yo than Eben and Torox and Yonerkin and Torox. I mean, just fundamentally, just not compared. You want 3 infused, of course, or sturdy. You could rock as much sturdy as you want, as much fuse. I mean, you don't want infused on your small pieces. It's pretty dumb. It's better to rock it with a different trade, like aka sturdy, because you don't want to push smaller numbers, you want to push bigger numbers. So just it'd be pointless to put infused on the 385 max health glyph compared to, I don't even remember how much, it's like 956 or something. Yep. Jewelry, now you can do robust, you know, infused, harmony, all that. Majority, I've done literally everything in all infused, just because I'm lazy and I don't really care. All mag recovery, I never need. I think my other jewelry's on another character. Yeah, the rest is somewhere else. I never really need a robust. I don't need more stam. Sets I do need for stam are worm cult. I need to trade change these. I think my traded are on my other thing, my sword. Yeah. So like for sets like Alkosh, you don't really need robust. Depends on your class as well. And Nightblades, you don't really need it unless you're uncomfortable with the class and you're choosing a different race or something like that. But yeah, I mean, these are basically set to use for every damn tank. I mean, nothing really changes. Maybe traits, maybe, I don't know, maybe some, you know, traits, all that bullshit. But yeah, all infused really, most of the time. Of course, other sets, you know, like Hersing, Struggled Worm, you know, Yoner Canine, Front Bar, you know, Sanctuary, Twilight, Lunar. None of these are traded. I think all my traded stuff's on my Sork right now. Yeah, this is all just bullshit. Worm Cult too. Yeah. Why don't I have my other gear? I don't know. Bonnie's maybe. This hit's pretty ass, to be honest with you. Maybe next. I know the new trial that's coming out. You could probably use it for that boss, for those bosses. I might say. Might be pretty nice. You won't need a tether at all, or a yeah, tether, whatever you call it. Yep, 856. You could swap it out if you want more mag, you know, if you want more stam. This is what I keep it up. I mean, you don't need more health, you don't need more stam really. If you do need more stam, rock robust. If you need more magicka, rock arcane. Never really need more. Magica for anything. I rock the Lord. More health. I don't need any more. I don't need more speed. I mean, this is a speedy class. Of course, I don't need more mag recovery, as you can see. I don't need more resistance, as you're about to see. Or I'll just show you, like, just my major is enough. If I rock my minor, you're way beyond what you need. I literally done all content with 22 and 23. 22 both, you know. 24 is what you want at least. You can do all content with 24 each. You don't need any more. Spell, weapon damage, it doesn't matter. Crit, doesn't matter. Don't need any more than 20k stam. You could rock 23k stam. 23 is probably a nice number for stam on this class. Like, I get in really shitty situations with this kind of stam. But it's mainly my fault because I'm a perfectionist and I like uptimes. Yeah. Oh, you don't really want to go past stage 2. You don't even really need vamp, in my opinion. I mean, I don't even. I've done everything without on death, or without the recovery. Without recovery, it's only 10%. You would only lose 188 recovery. You get to like 160 something, 164 or something like that. You also have to look at your pot too, way beyond, especially if you include that recovery from that. I mean, you'd probably even be like what, 2k, 19 something. You don't need it. You could play with 1200 recovery, 1500 recovery. I just do 1800 because I'm lazy and I don't want to change anything. Yeah, health recovery is nice. Use the Bewitched Sugar Skulls. No point in using anything else. I mean, it's cheap. It's easy to make if you don't have the recipe. I mean, it's not expensive at all to make or use. The ingredients are pretty cheap. I mean, if you don't have it, somebody you know can probably make it. I mean, you'll be pretty dumb to use anything else in this. I mean, if you want to do dungeons, I got using purple, but if you're doing trials, just use this. I mean, you know, the better the stats, the better your chances at doing things more efficient, and efficiency is key. Skills, in cap, front bar, like 99.9% of the time I keep this on my front bar. You could use the other morph. I use this because sometimes I PvP and I don't want to swap damn skill morphs every 2 seconds. It doesn't really matter the morph because each get that last. While slaughtered, you gain Reeve, which restores 100 magicka and stamina when you deal damage with a light or heavy on an enemy with a negative effect active on them. Every boss is gonna have a negative effect unless nobody's attacking it. And then what are you doing attacking it then? Even when you attack it, you're gonna be applying Crusher, Weakening, which are negative effects as well. I mean, you're just jabbing them, stabbing them, anything really applies. I mean, it's pretty easy resources, it's nice resources. You'd be pretty dumb to rock anything else. Like, you don't need barrier majority of the time. If you do, that's a group thing, and that's a lead thing, I guess. Yeah. Here, I'll just go for ultis first. Bolstering, never used it, never will, never need it, except for maybe the trial in Greymore. Last boss hard mode I've seen. It's pretty nice to have. That's it for execute phase. That's it. Literally nothing else in this game. You don't need it. You'd be pretty dumb to use this. Like, it's not a crutch. You shouldn't be crutching on skills at all. You shouldn't rely on skills to get you through content. You should rely on the group to get you in content, you know. Working together, all that fun stuff. Soul Siphon, the God Heal. I honestly rather have this than Barrier 100% of the time. It gives you major vital, and the heal on it's freaking nasty. Also, it is a synergy for people, especially for your magicka dealers. As well, I never really use it. Only reason why you would, like a majority reason, is for the healing, and also healing done. So if you do rock this, put it on your front bar for sure. Always keep your Warhorn on your back bar. No point. If you're gonna stay on majority every time on your front bar, use something that's gonna be useful. A good passive. You don't get anything out of Warhorn. for passive wise. So just keep it on your back. But I mean, when you apply it, you shouldn't be in any like shitty situation. Yeah, you're worrying about surviving, not one. So, and your front bar is the way to go for that. Barrier, never use it. Never need to. Never been in a group where they put on a damn barrier. Never had to deal with that. Even procs, I wouldn't even suggest using warhorns all the way, honestly. Pushing damage is more important than pushing survivability with an ulti, because the less time that boss is up is the less damage you're going to be taking overall. Okay, skills. Lotus Fan, I use this for some fights whenever we're stacking ads. Really minor vulnerability. You can use the other morph, the stam morph, but I mean, you're going to be stacking recovery and you have good sustain with your mag, so I mean, why not use it? Because I mean, it's less effort that you have to be putting into resources than if you would with stam. You could rock stam, like if you're rocking like 25k stam or an orc, something ridiculous. But yeah, there's no point, like, I don't know, just no point. It's a nice AoE vulnerability, you know, skill. Increases their damage taken by 8%. I mean, I use this in VSS whenever we're doing trash pulls. You stack every ad, hits everything. When everything's stacked, it's pretty nice. It's good for VHOF on triplets. It's good just fundamentally as a good skill. I mean, you don't need flies whenever you're using this at all. You probably don't want to use this for like bosses, for like VSS, you know, dragons, anything ranged. Especially since their hitboxes are shit and you can just have a healer rock flies. When things are more spread out, it's easier to use flies than it is to use Lotus Fan. Mirage, only use this for like AoE fights, so like for dragons on VSS hard mode or regular. For their breath, or whenever I'm going below in Yolnokrin, whenever I'm dragging Atros on there, on hard mode or regular, regardless. So I usually do it. Basically just reduce damage hella a lot from AoE. You could also use this for VHOF, last boss, nothing really in VMAL where you need AoE reduction. VAS, yeah, you could run it in VAS hard mode. I use it in there sometimes. VCR, I mean, what AoE are you really taking that's gonna be detrimental to your life? Nothing really, but other than that, you could just have that. It's usually a flex skill for me. Yep, it's nice resistances. Relentless focus. You could use the magic aversion. I just use a stand because, as again, if I off tank, sometimes I DPS. Or like for VMAL, if I don't really need to be aggroing 24/7 if I'm off tanking, it's better to just have a DPS spec on than a just pure tank. I could just run an fire like on VMAL. If you're off tanking on VMAL, you don't need to be a pure tank. Nothing hits you that hard. Especially if you have a main tank taking those things that hit hard. You could use the mag morph. People say it's probably preferred, but I mean realistically, once you activate this and you get those 5 stacks, you don't need to reapply it unless you come out of combat. Even if you start combat, by the time you apply that, your recovery already like systematically refills your stam. I mean, you're never reapplying this unless you're out of combat. And when you get back into combat, your light attacks. So whenever you would play this, just assuming you go to your front bar, your light attacks, what, 5 light attacks, that's 500 stam. Sorry, my controller's scuffed. 500 stam, that's 500, and then plus recovery, which is 663, which is like, well, like 1163, something like that. I don't know. Plus leeching, your light attacks gives you 106 stamina. Heavies as well. Heavies work with that. It's double. So if you heavy, you'll get 2 stacks. I basically keep this up like I keep this on my bar all the time. It's free mitigation. It's what makes the Nightblade such a good class to play. Honestly, it's 10% free mitigation, 10% free damage reduction. Don't really need to do anything except for light attack. That's it. Let me see. This is why, if you do an all stamp group, primarily you'd want a Nightblade in there, and for this reason right here. Dealing crit damage grants you and your group members minor savagery, increasing your weapon crit ratings by 1320 for 20 seconds. It's a must. If you don't have a stand blade in there, it'd probably be better overall to have a stand blade or a Nightblade tank in there, and then just fill it up with Necros and Plars. Honestly, maybe, I don't know, maybe a DK, but your tank's probably gonna be the DK. Yeah. So, surprise, this is for all night DPS. Dark Cloak, your main heal. This is your main heal and it gives you minor protection, so it's also your damage reduction skill, buzzweed. And it also procs this Shadow Barrier. Casting a Shadow ability grants you a major result for 6 seconds, increasing your physical and spell. 5280. This duration is increased by 25% for each piece of heavy on your equip. So if you're into the whole 7 heavy thing, I think the bonus goes to like 175 or something. Yeah. So I think it'd be like 15 second duration. This skill right here is only 8 seconds. So if this ever drops, it's because you're either out of combat or you're not doing something. And I mean, you want to keep this up somewhat most of the time, unless you have dedicated healers, you know, unless your group's stacked and stuff. I mean, you don't really need to worry about healing most of the time if you have good heals and your group knows what they're doing. I mean, this skill right here is the reason why you don't want to use balance or the other morph. If you use balance or the other morph, you're pretty dumb, to be honest with you. You're sacrificing like an extra skill spot for double stacking a major buff that won't do anything. You're only gonna have one. So if you put balance on, you might as well take Dark Cloak, which is your primary heal. You'd be pretty dumb to do that. Or the other morph, the one that takes less health, but it gives you what I think reduces your next mag ability. So it's like you don't need that. You'd be pretty dumb to use that. Like honestly, like why do you need a mag reduced cost for your next ability? Like generally you'd be pretty dumb. Like you're like focusing on all mag recovery. Like you have 1880 right now, just as this pop a pot. You have like 2145. Even if you didn't have vamp, you'd be like somewhere around 2k. I mean, you don't need reduced cost. If you were ever out of mag, it's because you're overcasting your buffs. This is 8 seconds. This is what? Fucking 26 seconds. This is blockade. It's 14 seconds. I mean, what else are you gonna be spamming? I mean, you're not spamming anything mag. I mean, you can even look at all the skills. Like energy up 37. It's 10 seconds. You're not even using it most of the time. Efficient purge 52. I mean, this is like a once thing. I mean, 26. I mean, it's pointless to even rock it. It'd be pretty dumb, honestly. People who run that don't know how to build like efficiently. Refreshing path. This is primarily if you're doing speedruns. I use this for speedruns. It's a nice group heal too. Like if you just need like something to put on your button, if you're just like out of options. Like if you don't need this AoE reduction, you know, I'd put it there, or you could put it on your front bar if you don't need extraction. Yeah, it's also used to proc Symphony. Your AoE heal. And then Shadow image. I only use it whenever I'm in Cyrodiil or PvP. So I mean, you don't need it ever. So it's like a nice little passive heal if you know you're not going to be focused by your healers, like if you're in a new group or something like that, or a prog, or you're doing like dungeons maybe. Even then, I mean, you realistically don't even need this most of the time unless you feel uncomfortable with your group. Legion strikes here, main stam sustain. You let this run out. It's 4.2k stam. It's pretty nice. You get passive stam. Your lights and heavies restore health. It's a lot of health too. Because you shouldn't be perma blocking either. So your heavies are going to be healing you, plus your plus your healers. I mean, you can literally. I've done VSS. You don't even need a perma block. The only thing you need a perma block is probably like the breaths. And the big bites, even then. That's pretty much it. They're little bites. They don't even hurt, really. You could use the mag version. No point, personally. You have so much into recov. Why sacrifice sustain on your stam? When, you know, or why sacrifice it for stam? You know, you have nothing else that offers you stam except for your lights and your heavies. That's when you can just get free sustainer here. It'd be pretty dumb to use anything else, really. Power extraction. This is for big heavy bosses like dragons, Vihov, last boss. New trial that's coming out. Don't really need it for VCR or VMO. I don't know. Just use it for like heavy hitter ads. I mean, even then, you'd probably still want to rock the Lotus fan for that. Don't need anything 2H, 0 down. Ransack, use the other morph. Use this one to level it. But if you don't really need to heal primarily, if your group is really stacked and you guys are all knowing what you're doing, you're like cohesive, you don't really need to worry about your heals or sustain. You could just rock this if you know everybody's gonna be rocking alley, you know, doing their job. But it's better off to run the other morph overall. I just did this so I can level it. It was like rank 3.5 and it was annoying me. Heroic, minor maim, heroism. You want to keep this up a majority of the time. This defensive stance. I mean, people use this religiously. I don't. No point. I mean, if you're perma blocking, you should be perma blocking for heavy hitters, not something that's gonna take away 2% of your health. Because again, you're a hot build. Heals over time. You're not like a DK where you just press one button, you're back to 100 without thinking. This is consistent healing, so I mean, don't really need to worry about perma blocking. Only time I really use this is for low-key hard mode. I'm tanking him from range, and I'm not using Alkosh. If I'm using like Worm, Sanctuary, or something like that. Other than that, I mean, never really need this block cost reduction. No point. Shield Assault. As you can see, I never use it. Only time is for V-off last boss, but even then, I get so bored I don't ever want to do it, so I just off tank that last boss. It's more work than standing there holding block on something that doesn't hit you. Dual wield, usually have points in here whenever I'm DPSing and off tanking, but went to Cyrodiil. I use a bow a lot of times. This is basically your wall. This is your crushing shock. It's a nice one. Let me see how much. Yeah, it's the same distance as crushing, but it costs stam. Yeah, it also does the off balance. And his hill, I like this too because it's a farther range than blockade. So if you're fighting something from a range, I'd say run a bow if you already have a lightning in group and you're not really worrying about your sustain for Magico. So like on Loki hard mode, if you feel comfortable rocking a bow, you can. Helps with speed. From your hasty retreat, roll dodge, and get major expedition for 4 seconds. You know, I like it. Maybe other people don't, but it is what it is. Crushing, blah blah blah, essential stuff. I used to rock a restaurant, not anymore. Stoppable, never really need it. Vamp, don't ever really need it, but I just use it because why not? Next patch I'm taking it off. Everyone basically is. If you're not, then watch videos, read notes. Your main chain, silver leash, your only chain. Don't use any monster sets that chain. I mean, they're inconsistent and it's better off to use those. I mean, there's no ad pulls where you're getting unlimited amount of ads to where you need a monster set. Yeah. Ring, never really use it, as you can see. Someone else really uses it most of the time. Don't need anything else. Don't need anything in mages. Just leveled it because this is a magic blade before and a stand blade and a tank and a healer. This class is this team's literally done everything. PvP and PvE. Siege time freeze, only use this for Fangler hard mode on last boss. Stun the beetles. That's it. I mean, if there's anything else that needs it, usually you have a healer or DPS run it. Race against time. I use this for Vest hard mode when I'm off tanking. Pretty nice, getting moving in and out, all that fun stuff. Overflowing, bigger synergies. I think the other one is a smaller energy, but more healing, I'm pretty sure. I'd rather use this, because primarily the only aspect of this that you're wanting is that burst heal that you get. I mean, personally, I'd rather have a burst heal than like 10 or like 5% more healing constantly than that. Shadow Stick, Shadow Silk, all stam groups. It's free damage. It's pretty insane. You'll see the numbers change whenever you use this in your all stam groups. Your stam will jump up so much. DPS wise. Enrage. You know what that is. Bone Surge. Never really use this. Maybe for VCR hard mode. For your major vital. Basically that's it. Energy Orb for Stonekeeper. Or Symphony, I'm sorry. Someone's generally going to be using this whenever you're 2 healers, both your healers. Don't really need this. I'd prefer the refreshing path, but if nobody for some apparent reason isn't running that, or you're running dungeons, run this one. Aggressive Horn, of course, charging, speed runs. Vigor, never used it, but PvP. Razor, I have it there just because I didn't take it off, but you never really need it. Maybe if you're doing VMAL or something, and you have all stam. Yeah. Purge, I mean, he's efficient, don't use the other one. You'd be pretty dumb to use the other one. Same thing for guard, don't use the other version. If you use the other version, you want to be a DPS. And, don't use the other version. Don't be dumb. Nord, obviously, fun stuff. Alchemy, blah 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 blah. Crafter, yeah. This is the champion. My blue one is what I use for all my tanks. I mean, no point in changing anything. Nothing is better, nothing's more viable. This is probably the best way to put it. 76 bless, 74 Elfborn, healing, obviously. Nothing really here you need. I mean, you don't need more damage. You don't need damage. You don't need to put anyone off balance. I mean, you have a lightning stuff. 54 thumb, 66 precise. You can spread it out as much as you want. You can stack it as long as you have the 120. in the mage tree, primarily for last stand. When you fall below 20% health, you gain major heroism, granting 3 ultimate every 1.5 seconds for 9 seconds. This effect can occur once every 20 seconds. This is a pretty OP passive. People don't look at some of the times, but literally increases your warhorn uptime ridiculously. If I know I can drop below 20 sometimes, and I'll be fine. Like on Dragon sometimes, whenever I don't have a healer focusing me 24/7 and he does his breath, and I know there's gonna be altars up, I drop to 20 and I just pop the altar, keep my Alkaj, keep my times up. And then it also gives me major heroism, helps me with horns. If you have a Nightblading group, you can literally just 2 horns, or 2 people with horns, 3 people even. You don't need 4 people with horns if you have a Nightblading group. Yeah, it's basically green, 56, 48. I mean, don't need any more, don't need any less. 27, 64, 40. I mean, I'm never stunned. Maybe for essential stuff for like V-Hoff whenever you get mechanic or pinnacle. The second boss, yeah. What else stuns you? Maybe shadow guards if you're running and they catch you off guard, I guess, whenever you're trying to stack stuff. Nothing in Bass really. Yeah, it's basically it. I mean, you shouldn't be getting stunned by anything in VSS. Yeah. Bashing. I mean, I only have that in there because I got lazy and forgot to change it for VMO because I was bashing the renders. Yeah. I mean, what else are you gonna bash? There's just some things you don't really need to bash realistically. 16 spinner. I like to run a lot. Speedy Gonzalez, speed runs. This is VHOF CP. If you need champion points, there's some discords around it. Just look it up too. I mean, it's no point going to every individual, and I don't know if it's. I think in his Discord they have all of them. Yeah, this is VHOF though. I mean, you could realistically use this for some stuff unless it's like major changing ones, like if you're going from SS to SO. I mean, then you'd want to change a lot. Realistically, I mean, you could just use VHOF for almost everything. Yeah, I mean, nothing important really here. Yeah, that's basically it. I mean, run tripods. Yeah. I mean, basically it. There you go. Now stop asking me.